Okay, so
Yep.
lens is a lens. We called it lens because a lens is a small device that you put between your eye and the world, and the lens bends the light so that you see the world more clearly. Like you can magnify it or make it a wide lens, and so it's about seeing something very clearly. And in Giraffe, a lens sits between you and the data, and it can be used on any data set. Bring your own, upload. Has to be a vector data set, as in there has to be some structured data there. Can come from an API, can come from an internal GIS team. And what it does is it allows you to style and change that data in order to understand it more clearly or to communicate it more clearly. So I'm just going to put a lens on this building data set, which is the Mapbox data set, comes from Mapbox for free. And I do that by opening the lens controls. And now I'm going to style these buildings by their type. And as soon as I do that, you can see what comes up. You know, we've got cathedrals, kindergartens, parking, and I'm telling a story now about the city of Sydney. And if I click on any one of these buildings, I can dive into it, and I can't now because it's taking up some of my screen. But all the metadata is available for you to get into and look at. And more than this, we can filter. So maybe I'm going to filter out in Sydney all the buildings that are greater than 100 meters. There they are, and those that have the type, let's say hotel. Right, there's one building in the data set that meets this criteria, and so hopefully you can see how quick and easy it is for me to filter on this data set. It's a data set that I haven't produced, the Giraffe team hasn't produced, coming straight from Mapbox. We haven't spoken to them about this data set. The data is very well structured. This is a classic GIS operation that I'm doing, filtering, styling, labeling. But again, as I said at the start, power to weight ratio. We're trying to make Giraffe do these quite heavyweight GIS operations, but in a way that's really, really easy and really, really quick. And it can decouple now two functions that are quite difficult to do in the same person or in the same organization. So the preparation of the data, making sure that it's current, making sure that it's high quality, making sure that it's got full coverage can be one job. That's kind of a mathematical kind of sciencey job. And then the artistic job of coloring it and labeling it and filtering it and communicating with it, that's a different kind of job. And those now can be done separately. And they're really nicely decoupled. So you can start thinking about those differently. And to show you what that means, if I unapply the lens, we just go back to the original kind of unstyled or default style of this data set. So that original data always stays there. So your teams can use the same data set in different ways. And critically, the lens can be used on any layer. And in Giraffe, your project portfolio, your projects are just a data layer. You know, Giraffe is about authoring data. And so I can just open the same controls on my portfolio, and I can style them here by construction cost and change that to some reds. And I'm now operating on my portfolio. And obviously in this dummy portfolio, I only have 6 projects. But you can imagine how you can use this to filter sites that either belong to you, sites that you're interested in acquiring, even tracking other organizations' sites in a very efficient way. And I'll just increase the label, more detail on the label, so you can see now each of my projects by sector, by feasibility, and it's colored by its construction cost, so we can see where our capital's gone. So hopefully some ideas are percolating about how you can use different data sets and tell different stories with Lens in a very, very flexible and simple way. The onboarding for this is literally a couple of minutes.